Hi everyone, welcome to Artistic Digitizer, Basics and Beyond. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America, and today I wanted to go over a little bit of, now that we're transitioning, some people are moving from their 1.7 AD to the V2. Sometimes when you do that, you have to make some changes to your preferences and things like that. So I'm going to show you setting that up. Some of you might be new to it altogether and don't know about this. So I'm going to show, that's one reason why I wanted to show that. And also, when you load V2, if you already had 1.7 and you load the V2, you do end up with two icons, the 1.7 and the V2 on your screen. Now, you could keep both, or you can delete the 1.7. Sometimes, though, if you're making draw files and you're sharing a draw file with somebody who has a 1.7, you need to create that in 1.7. 1.7 cannot read a draw file from V2, but all the embroidery files can be read by all of them. So that's the only advantage. Keeping it is if you need it for that reason, you'd have to create over in there. All right, and I can kind of see I have a little buddy kind of wandering around here. That is Cheddarhead, and I think Posy's over there on the couch somewhere. May pop up occasionally. I don't really know. All right, so let me open the software and I'll get started with our lesson for today. I'm going to just add this here and then I can close that. And let's go to the software. There we are. All right, so when you open your software, you can see right at the top here, this is where it shows you the V2. And if you wanted to see what version you are and what your build number is, on a PC, you would go up under Help. Help doesn't show here. You go under Help and choose About. And on my Mac, I don't have that under here. So on a Mac, you would have to go under Artistic, and you'd see About Artistic, and you get the same window. And right here, it shows you your version and your build number. So you would know that. And then down here is the license agreement and privacy policy and all of that. So this is information you might want to read if you were ever going to sell your software. So you need to read the license agreement about that. We can sell it, but you need to do it a particular way. All right, so I'm going to close that. Now, when you open it, here you are. You have your tabs over here if you wanted to open a new page, open a file, or even browse. And many of you know I've used this before. I do like the browse function because when I come in here and I choose something, it shows me all the designs that are in a certain folder that I've chosen. And then over here, if I wanted to go to my all embroidery categories, let's say I open up this one, I see the pictures right away. The difference is when you're on the welcome screen and you go to open, it opens this way and you have to click on each of these to see a picture. All right. So you can do things that way as well. The other way you can bring things in is if you go to your Explorer or your Finder. Now this is on a Mac, we have what's called a Finder. It's much like our Explorer. Your folders are over here, and then when you choose something like my embroidery folder, and let's see if I open up something in April, there are some designs that I'm working with. I can just click and drag these over here to my software and they open right up. So that's an easy way to do it as well. You don't have to jump through as many hoops that way. It works the same way on a PC. You would open your Explorer where your folders are, open your folder and just click and drag, and it would open it to the software. And then in your next column here, we do have your default hoop and machine. So you would want to set that up if it when you go to V2, sometimes it doesn't keep your CM17 if that's where you were. And then you could just click here and pick the machine you have. Now the machines are, it's sometimes people think, oh, the 17 is at the top because it is alphabetical by the letters that come before your machine. So our CM17, and then we have our MC machines here. Then we go to our Skyline in here, our multi-needles, and then we go to our older MCs and our embroidery only. These are all our embroidery onlys down in here. I don't think, let me go back up here. Is the MC100? No, that's not up there. So the MC 1000 is here, and then the embroidery onlys are in this area. And then we go to some European models and so forth down in here. So you should be able to find it. Now they repeat the MCs down here. I think it's based on age of machine. So you'd have to look at that part as well. But CM17 is all the way at the top. There's a little scroll bar on the side, or you can use your mouse wheel to move things. I do use a mouse, and I suggest using, I like a mouse. For me, it's easy. I can use my mouse wheel for scrolling, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So this is where I would choose my default hoop and machine, so that every time I open up a new page, I will have this hoop right there. Now the fabric and the embroidery category, this is important, as this sets, when you're designing, it sets your density for your design. So you still can change your density within that design, but this presets it so you start building on a certain density to start with. Now, that's where you would choose your embroidery category. It does not mean you have to pick one of these fabrics. The fabrics in here all use the same density. This just gives you a graphic background if you wanted that. I don't want that. I just like the white background. And if I wanted to have a color instead of white, I could left click in here and move this around and pick a color for my background. Every time I open it, it would open with that background. I like it to open with a white background and work from there. And then this is the category I was talking about that sets your density. So you can work with any of these. We have the smooth, ultralight, light, normal, and heavy. And you'll notice when you go to the different ones, it will change the fabrics that are over here. So you can kind of see, oh, if I'm working with this type of fabric, maybe I would want to start with heavy if I'm designing, so that it would preset my density for me. Now, typically I always keep it in normal, because these are things you can change right on the page. So pretty much you'll always be using this this set of density for you, and then you can change on the work page what you want. So I like to choose my fabric as non-normal, and then my category as normal. So that's important to pick your category. This is your default category. All right, so that will always open up a new page, and it'll have this information right there. These are your recents, things that you've worked on before, and you can make them smaller or larger. You can look at them in little graphics. You can look at them in written information like that, or the little pixels. And then if you wanted to remove it, you could just X here, and it will take it out of the list. Down below, you can see where you've had it saved, and if you hover there, it'll tell you where it is in your computer. That's where this is located. Let me hover on this one and see if it'll come up. There it is. Graphics and drawing. It's a 3, so you can go through that way. Over here we have our tutorials, and if you don't see your tutorials, they might be closed. You have a little tiny arrow right here to open and close it. If for some reason your welcome gets closed, you can come up under window, and you'll be able to turn it back on under window. All right, sometimes that happens. We get excited and we X out when we're closing our windows, and then you don't have that window open. So you can go ahead and do that way. And these expand our videos like there. Now we do have a new category, crafting projects, and they're going to be adding projects in here. There's the new features for 2. You can go through those videos if you wanted to. Getting started. There's a quick start, a tour, how to get help, design browser, switching from one computer to the next, the information is in here. And then changing stitch types. Some of the basic information is right here under getting started. And then you can go through all the different areas. These are all brand new videos. They're beautiful, beautifully done, easy to follow. So those are all in there. Now I did, in the past, I did a series of videos on our Facebook page called AD Skill Builder. Those are on our earlier version 1.7. Over this, at the end of the summer, Facebook deleted all old videos. So a lot of those videos are gone, but I've been populating them over on my YouTube channel, and you just have to search my name, Ann Hine, and you'll find them there. I'm slowly bringing the series that we did, like the Zip Pouch of the Month is over there, the AD Skill Builders are there, and then there's another series, the quilting series I did. So I'm slowly bringing them over there. I do have a few little holes in the skill builders. I'm not sure where those videos are. I'm trying to search out and figure out where they got saved, or why they didn't get saved. So you still have that, you just have to go somewhere else to get those now. But I highly recommend those of you with V2 to please look over these videos here. You'll find a lot of really helpful information. These are short little videos, 4 or 5 minutes at the most. So they're quick and easy. My AD Skill Builders, because of the time, those are very long videos. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to I'm going to open a new page because there's a few other things that I think we need to work on. And you can see here for setting my preferences, I do have my default hoop here. And then if you're looking across the top, here's that fabric tab. If I wanted to change it for a certain design that I'm working with right now, I could choose a new category and I could change the color of my background if I wanted to work with this particular design that way. So my hoop is there, and of course if I needed to change my hoop for this, whatever I'm working on, I could click here and click change. Now there's no other options under here right now because nothing is on my field. So if I wanted to change it, I could click here. It brings in my hoops and I could just select which one I want. I could change my brand or my machine itself. When you choose the hoop icon, now that I've closed that part of it, my hoop is highlighted blue. If I want to do anything else, I need to come up here and click select to turn off that hoop icon. This plus right here adds a hoop, and that is for multi-hooping. So if I wanted to change this hoop, I could click right here on the hoop itself and not on the plus. All right, and I'm going to leave my hoop here. This is where you would rotate your hoop as well. All right, so one of the things when we go to the V2, you may have to change from metric to inches. If you hadn't, it reverts back to metric. So if you're on a PC, it would be tools, tool options, which I don't have here because I'm on my Mac. And in there, you would find the area that I'm going to next. On a Mac, you go under Artistic and Preferences. So if I was on my PC, I would go to Tools, Tool Options, and I would get this same window. Now in this window, you can choose your language. Down here, you can change 2 inches. Now I'm in what's called Imperial. So it defaults, and you would see 2 Imperial. So if you wanted to go to inches, you would click 2 Imperial, and okay, you'd have to close your software and reopen it, and then your software would be in inches. If you like to work in metric, and it says 2 Imperial, leave it there and it will be in metric. If I wanted to go back to metric right now, I would have to click 2 metric and it would take it back to metric. Now we don't have to work in, we can work in the measuring tool that we like the best, because AD gives us the opportunity when we're changing something on the screen, the length of a stitch or whatever, I can input it as an inch measurement, or I could put it in as a metric. Now for me, like changing stitch length, I like to use metric because we're used to 2.5 as our mm as our metric. So even though it's in inches, I could put 2.5 mm and it would auto convert it for me. So we do have that auto convert on there. The next one across the top after general is tools. And this shows us a couple things we can change up here. And our digitizer tool, that is our digitize outline shape tool. And it defaults to the context menu. And what that means is when I'm drawing, left clicks are going to give me curve nodes, and a shift and left click will give me a cusp or a line. I keep it on the context because that's the default. And most of the times when you get your software, it's on the default and you don't realize it. And if you're following one of my lessons, you'll be able to follow right along. When you click here, you have these other options here, and that's based on the left and right clicking and what you like to have as your option. You can find these in the manual as well and read about what they are. If you're used to left and right clicking, you may like the Janome digitizer options, or the Elna, or maybe you like the Bizet tool, where you can kind of click and drag along as you go. All right, so that gives you those options there. I like the context menu. I left click for all my curves. I shift and left click to get a cusp node or a line node. Under monitor, this is where you would want, I leave mine on auto detect so that it will pick up my monitor size, but if you needed to make a change, it would be here. And then you can change some views over here. But if you make your font scale, your controls very large, or your icon size very, very large, you won't be able to see the whole screen. It'll fall below the screen. So you want to be aware of that. I try not to change that, and these are the settings that I like to keep mine on. So I'll leave that for a second here so you can see that. Under printing, we have options as well. You can change the true type font that you use. If you like a different true type font, you can change that in here. I have mine at Arial, that's fine. My barcode is there. If I was changing some printing to a plotter, maybe I wanted to use chalkboard and so forth. You can change the company name, print out, and I put mine print out by Ann Hine, or maybe you have a business name or something, you could do that, and I'll show you when we get to the print function. The size of your text can change here as well. If you like a little bit larger text, you can change that. And when we go to, we may have to close software and reopen it to get that to save. I'm going to move on to the palette order, because this is the one I think is very, very important. And you can see over here, first of all, mine are not in alphabetical order anymore because I dragged them into the list that I can see my favorites right at the top. So the first thing I've done is I went through all the different palettes and chose the ones that I would like to show when I use a drop down on the work page. So all of these blue checked ones will show up when I click on my list. They'll be at the top of my list, even though they're not at my top of my list. But I could click here and I could drag this up so that I could put it in line here. Let's move it up one more. So these would be the visible ones when I have a list. And this is my default. Janome is my default. That'll always be at the top of my list. Now let's talk custom hoops. You can create a custom hoop. There are times, and not really for Janome machines, but for other brands, there are other hoops that come out that you can choose, and you could input the information here so you would have that custom hoop. Now Janome hoops, we can only use the sizes of the hoops that are made for our machine. We can't create a hoop here that's larger than our largest hoop. It's just not going to. We could create it, of course, but our machine will not read that. It's only going to read the hoop sizes that we have. Now, we do have some dime hoops that those would relate to the dime hoop size would relate to the size we have in our machine. Like we have our biggest hoop, our RE46, and there's a dime hoop that matches that. So even though we're using a dime hoop, we would choose the RE46 in our software, and our machine would read that. If I wanted to create a hoop here for my Janome hoops, maybe for my the RE28, which is the square hoop, or SQ28 is the square hoop. Maybe I wanted to have a hoop that was a certain size that I like to design within. Maybe I like an 8x8, and our hoops are not, maybe I don't have that hoop, or maybe I want to make it, maybe in my 5x7 hoop, I would really like it to be 5x6. That's the design size I want. So I could create one here, but I would always have to pick that when it goes to the machine, it has to fit into a size that goes to the machine, is what I was going to say. And so you would, in here, you could create your hoop in here by doing add first and put in the information that you want and create that hoop. And then I'm just going to close that when I'm done. And then I could change the width and height, the symmetric, this kind of information up here. So I'm not really going to create anything here. I'm just going to click OK down here. Oh, let's get out of here. There we go. Let's close this. I'll close the window. Why did this happen to me? And I have to come down here to close that window. So let me see where it's showing that for me here. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so to get out of that window where I was stuck, I clicked on escape and it closed my window for me. So I'm back here to my hoop. So those would be your preferences that you really want to work on and change. Any of the changes I made, if I needed to, it would have given me the window to close my software and reopen it, so it would keep all those things. All right, so I just want to show you really quick. I'm going to make this shape right here, and then I'm going to select it. And as you can see, all of my things over here, if I click on the let's see, the outline of mine, you can see it's in inches down here. So let's change this to a satin serial, and this is the outline width at 0.02, but I can use the slider and slide it up like this and make it bigger, or I can input in here, maybe I like to use a 2.0 mm, 2 millimeter, and I could do that and it will auto convert it right there to me. Because sometimes we're used to our stitch length and our stitch width because our machines are set up that way. So you can use the sliders or use those that way. All right, the other thing I want to do is go over a little bit today. Now that we've done all of this, I think I've covered all the preference type things. Now that I have something on my window, I can see up here I have all of these options now. I can export it to here. I can change my hoop in my machine. I can center this to the hoop, and I could do fit to hoop in there. And we can see that it fit to hoop, it moved it, it rotated it for me as well. So we have those options underneath here. This is where I go when I'm going to export it to a USB stick. If I'm going to save it to my computer, that's when I go to File and I use Save As. You can find the export here as well. The export, what it does is it opens up the USB, it wirelessly opens up, or my cable connection. So it gives me those export options. When you do Save As, that's where you're going to save it into your computer. Okay, those are those two options. I don't do Save As and then go find my USB port because it's a little bit, to me, it's too much searching. For me, most of the time I'm going right to my USB stick or right to my machine. So the options are right here, right in front of me. Okay, so let's take a look at, I'm going to close this. I wanted to talk a little bit about PaintStitch. And we had some changes to PaintStitch, and I want to go over those today before we close. I double clicked on my graphic and it opened up here and I have all my choices. We do have a new one as sketch. I'll be going over that in a future lesson. And here is our open as PaintStitch. So I'm going to click there. I'm also going to make this a little smaller. If you don't see the blue dots, just click and drag and you'll find them and you can expand them. This is for cropping your design. I don't need it to convert all that extra stuff. And then I'm going to say okay, and it'll open up here. Isn't that nice? Came out very nice. When I select this, I will get my properties over here. And in my properties, you'll see here my palette is Janome. That's my preference. And then when I left click on here, you can see those ones that I had in order, in the order that I was putting them, and I could change it to something else here if I wanted to. Maybe I would want Marathon, and you could see it changed a little bit. With Marathon, I may want to up my colors because I have more shades, so it would give my design more shade options as we go through, and you can see them changing down here. I can get more dynamic with what I have, but I still have 35 colors to work with in my design. So that might be a lot of changing. I might not want to do that. I'm going to put it back to Janome for right now. Oops, I got to scroll up here. There we go. Now, remember I mentioned I like to use my mouse wheel. So when I scroll up and down on my mouse wheel, it moves up and down. If I want to move left and right, I would hit Shift and it moves left and right. If I want to zoom, I could hit Control and my mouse wheel in and out to get nice and close to there. Okay, that's one reason why I like to use my mouse. All right, so one of the things that changed with our PaintStitch is the ability to make this larger, and it will repopulate. I can make it any size that I like. The other thing that changed is we can edit the shape of it. We have the edit nodes. Before, we would have to take it out of our software and then make it a GIF and then bring it back in, and we could do this kind of editing. But now I could bring the edges in like this if I wanted to make this a particular shape. Let's bring that up there. Maybe I could bring this corner in, make that come up a little bit to get that flower. So I can play with the outside shape of this as much as I like with the corner nodes. I can add a node in here. So maybe I want to add a node, and then I would be able to bring this in closer like this. Let's get this arrow out of the way here, bring it back. There we go. So you can play with it this way as well with the nodes. And I could maybe make it, maybe I could make it look like a little cone. Let's make this change. So you can make any shape with the nodes. You can also draw a shape on there as well and use that as your shape. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So I have this kind of a thing if I want it. I'm going to do undo and get it back to the normal shape. And then we will go from there. Let's get it one more here, two more. So I can use my Digitize Outline Shape tool. I'm going to make it a little bit larger here. There we go. Oh, I didn't go all the way back, I don't think. Not back far enough. Hang on one. There we go. And there it should be. Let me select it. There we go. Now I can make it larger when I select it. All right, so I can use my Digitize Outline Shape tool, and I can use that to cut away parts of this. So if I wanted to isolate just the flowers, or maybe a portion of this, I'm going to just do these flowers up close like this. So when I left click and hold Shift, I'm getting those red nodes. Those are cusp nodes, and then I'm getting my smooth or my curve nodes just with left clicking. That's backspace there to make that go back. And then I'm just going to drop this, oh, hang on a second, I'm going to go out here like this. And then I'm going to end shape. I'm going to select that shape, and then the other part, hit shift. I'm going to right click, do knife, and you can see it broke it into sections that I can remove now. I can select that part, this part, and then let's see, I have to cut this little piece away. There we go, like that. And now I have this little piece here. And I could come in and fine tune it by clipping these away too, using the knife function to get that put away. So now I can isolate if I just want one flower or I want to use this kind of a look. I'm able to do that. Now let's pretend this is going to be the corner on a piece of fabric, and I'm going to create a piece of fabric just with my rectangular shape tool like that. I'm going to turn it into artwork over here in my properties. I'm going to come here to artwork, and then I'm going to move it behind my design. So I'm going to pretend this is my fabric, and that fabric, if I want to change the color of it, what I would do is I'd come down here and I can left click on my square and it would bring up the color wheel. And if I want to go to swatches, let's see, let's just do the color wheel first. I might want to use a different color, maybe like that, and that will change the color in there. If I go over here to my bucket, I could change it as well. I could go to swatches. There aren't swatches under RGB for some reason. And then I could change from there. So this is, when I select it, you can see there's stitches there. Let's change that back to artwork. There we go. So there should be no stitches. Oh, the outline is showing. So let me delete the outline right here down in the bottom. There we go. So when I select this, there's no stitches because that's my background fabric. So now I have a look at what it looks like on background fabric. So I really like that. I could draw a shape on there, maybe a heart or maybe a blob shape or a circle shape on there, and then cut away the outer part of it so that I have just my parts of the design that I want. I really like the way they've changed this because now we don't have to work, when we had to use the knife tool and change it to a Jeff, we would have to delete all these tiny little stitches. We'd have to come in here and delete those tiny little stitches. Now, if I need to get rid of some of those things, I can come in here and use my Digitize Outline Shape tool. Let me backspace out of here. Come here, get rid of this. I'm going to use my Digitize Outline Shape tool, and I could just come in here like this to get those parts away that I don't want, just like that. Maybe come in here, come down in here, make that line, select the line, come back up to your selection, select your item, right click, there's knife, and then you have the options over here. Just click and delete them. There you go. So you can fine tune it any way you like. This is how some of the people have posted these nice pictures of their pets, and they have just their beautiful pet and none of this extra in the background. So that's how you can do that with our new PaintStitch. All right, so let me go back. I'm going to put the camera on just for a moment. Here we go. All right, so let's go here. There we are. All right, everyone. So if you have questions about the new V2 or any questions about that, please post them below. I'll come back and answer all of those in a little bit so we can take care of all of that. As I said in the beginning, if you do update to V2, it is a purchasable one for anyone who either purchased or installed their software before January 1 of 2025. Anybody after that date, they will get a free update based on their level. So if you're at a junior level, you'll get junior V2. If you're at a full level, you'll get full. Of course, we do have the update available for junior people that want to go from junior 1.7 to junior V2. Or if you're junior and you want to go all the way to full V2, we have that option as well. For our 1.7 people, you can go from full 1.7 to full V2. And you would write, I think we had a special, there are some specials running on that at different times. You have to check with your dealer. All of those are supported or purchased through dealers. We don't do a digital download with Janome. We support our dealers that way. So you must purchase through your distributor or your Janome dealer. All right, everyone, I'm going to let you go. Oh, you know what I didn't show you is the print thing. Let me go back really quick to the software. I knew I was going to forget that. If I wanted to go to print, right up here is my print option. And when I go to print, usually what I do is I'll start with design only, and then you can see there's the name of this design in here. There's a hoop down there. I can add new information. I can add a header if I want that, and it gives me my color changes in here, or I can use the company. I can put company name up there. There's print out by me. I may want some other information that'll be at the bottom here. I can put my stitch count, my start point. I may want to put in the crosshair, that is the start point. Now you can notice this one here, it's not centered in my hoop, so it's not going to be centered right there. This will be the center of my hoop where that crosshair is. I can put my hoop icon up. So you can add as much stuff as you want. I don't really want to have a hoop icon on there. I know where everything is this way. So you have those options right there. You can be at portrait or landscape. Sometimes I like landscape. And the other thing is there's grid line, stitch count, 3D preview. Where's the sequence icons? There we go. This is the different parts of my design. You can have those up as well, where it changes to different colors. If you did something with cut work, it will show the different parts of where the knife, which blade you put in, which cutting needle you would put in on there. All right, so that's the print function. And let's go back to the camera on here. There we go. All right, everyone. So start playing with V2. Go through the, to help and look at the printable help. There's a page 22 or page 23, starts the new things with links to more information on those in your manual. So make sure you check that out. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.